Today on the CTV News at 5, financial check. Premier Redford is going to update Albertans on our province's financial situation. Plus, the Supreme Court denies the appeal of an accused Guatemalan war criminal. And action from day 2 of Alberta Scotties Tournament of Hearts. Good afternoon. In less than 2 hours, Albertans will have a clearer picture of our province's finances. Premier Alison Redford will address Albertans this evening during a pre-recorded message set to air here on CTV. It's expected that Redford will lay out how she'll deal with a ballooning deficit and looming fiscal crunch. In March, the province will release its budget. It's expected to bring major cuts. Redford is being criticized for her overly rosy budget projections ahead of last year's election. It counted heavily on high oil prices that critics warned were unrealistic. Now, with resource revenue dropping, Alberta's financial future is less certain. Experts are predicting a $3 billion deficit, more than 3 times higher than projected, and it's expected that Redford will reveal where the cuts may come. Both the Liberals and Wildrose believe this is a way for Premier Redford to avoid questions.
Well, Redford's probably going to say, life is really bad, it's the fault of the world, it's not our fault. As she's going to say, expect less from your government.
It's a last-minute move, it's a desperate move, and it clearly demonstrates that this premier is in trouble. The financial situation of this province is in a very difficult position, and it's because she has not taken the actions that she should have taken when she became premier.
You can hear the Premier's message this evening at 6:52 here on CTV. We'll have more local reaction coming up later in our newscast. Dory, you are always so right when you say warmer temperatures are coming and when that wind is coming too.
Yeah, well, you know, we're not always right, but we like to think we have a pretty good handle on what's coming down the pike. And of course, today we did have some periods of wind. Then we got a nice break. The winds are going to kick in again tonight. And yes, temperatures definitely on the mild side. I ran out to my car just an hour or so ago and went, I don't think I'm going to wear a jacket. Bit of a rebel today. I'll have all your details coming up in a couple of minutes.
Thanks, Dory. An accused Guatemalan war criminal arrested in Lethbridge will not get his day in front of the Supreme Court of Canada. Jorge Sosa was extradited to the U.S. last fall to face charges of lying to immigration officials there about his military past. The 53-year-old allegedly was a commanding officer of an elite Guatemalan army unit that massacred 222 villagers at Dos Eras during the country's civil war in 1982. Sosa was visiting family in southern Alberta at the time of his arrest 2 years ago, and he had asked Canada's highest court to intervene in his case, but the justices refused. Sosa now faces extradition to Guatemala to face murder charges. And Lethbridge Regional Police are asking for your help in an armed robbery at a Northside 7-Eleven around 4 o'clock yesterday morning. The 7-Eleven along the 500 block of 13th Street North was robbed. Police say this man entered the store carrying a large hunting knife and demanded money. He's got a stocky build. He's believed to be between 35 and 40 years old. He's around 5'9". He was wearing all black and carrying a purple backpack. If you have any information on this man, you're urged to contact police or Crime Stoppers. A preliminary hearing continued today for a Jaffrey, BC man charged with criminal negligence causing death in the tragic death of a teenage boy. 17-year-old Michael Voth of Fernie was shot and killed in June of 2011 after a 10-year-old boy got a hold of a firearm and accidentally fired it. Because the child is under the age of 12, no criminal charges were laid. However, the owner of the gun, the boy's stepfather, 52-year-old George Phillips, is charged with 1 count of criminal negligence causing death and careless storage of a firearm. The preliminary hearing is to determine whether there's enough evidence for the case to go to trial. The case will resume on Monday. Chief Teresa Spence has ended her 43-day liquid-only diet. She ended her protest now that other chiefs and federal opposition parties have promised to take up her cause of treaty rights and improved living conditions on reserves. Spence is said to be tired and weak after being on a diet of fish broth and tea. She was taken to hospital this morning and placed on an IV.
Like a baby again, she has to be weaned into eating solid foods again, and therefore the doctors requested that she stay at the hospital. She may be released later on this afternoon, if not tomorrow morning.
This morning in Ottawa, a sunrise ceremony planned to celebrate the end of Spence's fast went ahead without her. And we have an update today on a story we ran yesterday about a Blue Cross woman case saying that it's reviewing a request to cover an expensive medication for a Raymond woman. Michelle Peterson has a rare condition that causes swelling and pain, and it makes it hard for her to keep food down and leaves her feeling exhausted. Normal treatments aren't working. A specialist is recommending that she use Xolair, a new drug that could cure her, but Peterson says she can't afford the drug, and Blue Cross had declined to cover the cost. Today, though, Blue Cross told us that they are now reviewing Michelle's case with her doctor. Peterson's doctor says Michelle's condition has deteriorated under normal treatments, and without any Xolair, she may eventually be forced to quit work and go on social assistance. A Lethbridge businessman is seeking answers after a letter carrier stopped delivering mail to his storefront office. But the post office says there's an easy solution. All he has to do is put a mail slot in his door. Terry Vogt reports.
Bell Bora has been in the same office for years, and mail delivery had never been a problem until last summer when he suddenly stopped getting mail. When he made some inquiries, Bora says he was told that the letter carrier was not allowed to slide the mail under his door, even though he had been getting it that way for several years.
I was getting mail all the way to August 2012, and then all of a sudden it stopped. I've been here since 2008.
Bora's been collecting his mail at the post office while trying to resolve the problem with Canada Post. Eventually, he took the matter to Lethbridge MP Jim Hillier, who was told all Bora had to do was cut a mail slot in his door.
They're telling through my MP's office. Is that how corporations communicate with their clients? Is that how you guys communicate? You go directly to the clients and find out, and then this can be done in no time.
Canada Post says part of the problem is that Bora's not always at his office, that most other businesses in the mall have staff available, so the letter carrier can drop the mail off at the front desk if necessary.
If he was at his business in regular hours, we could give him his mail, but he's not there very often. There's no consistency in his hours, and unfortunately, he's not there when our agent is there. So all he has to do is provide us with either a mail slot in the door or a mailbox, and we'll continue to deliver with no issues.
But Bora says until now he was told it was a matter between Canada Post and the mall, since they owned the retail space. Mall officials were unavailable for comment. Terry Vogt, CTV News, Lethbridge.
Canada Post says sliding mail under the door isn't considered secure. They say the current letter carrier doesn't feel comfortable doing that, and their policy is not to slide mail under the door. Now, as we mentioned earlier, Premier Alison Redford will be addressing Albertans this evening during a pre-recorded message set to air here on CTV. Here in Lethbridge, political experts have their own take on the budget cuts that Redford plans to address. Jeanette Roche reports.
When Premier Alison Redford addresses the province tonight, she'll unveil her plan to slash spending. Next year will face an expected deficit of over $3 billion. But MLA Greg Weddick says it's not that the province has overspent.
I think that you're going to see very targeted spending reductions in programs that maybe aren't delivering what we need, and a continued push by the whole government and our premier to create market access.
In a statement yesterday, the premier said she's going to keep her election promises from last April, including her commitment to roads, healthcare, and schools.
Virtually the size of the city of Lethbridge moves to Alberta every year, and we have to develop that infrastructure, build the schools. When the people come here, they don't have physicians, they don't have school teachers, so it's our job to continue to try to create that infrastructure, create the services, the employment for the people coming here. So we're going to continue to be the engine of the Canadian economy.
But former NDP candidate Shannon Phillips says she doesn't buy into that promise.
And we know that there are cuts coming across the board in this budget. There were even some layoffs today. 48 LPNs were laid off today, licensed practical nurses. And so we know that there are going to be cuts both in this fiscal year and in the next fiscal year.
Phillips says the government is operating at a deficit because it's failed to collect oil and gas royalties and corporate taxes. But despite the expected tough budget, Redford tells Albertans there will be no tax increases. Peter McCormick is a political science professor at the University of Lethbridge. He says the province is pulling a classic political move.
If you lower expectations, then it's less likely people will be mad at you. If you go in with high expectations and then lowball people, they will be furious. So this is don't expect too much.
Jeanette Roche, CTV News, Lethbridge.
33 Southern Albertans were recognized this afternoon by being presented with the Queen Elizabeth II Diamond Jubilee Medals. And among the recipients was CTV weather anchor Dory Rossiter.
Ms. Dory Rossiter has offered a lifetime of volunteer service to her community. Over the years,
Alberta's Lieutenant Governor Donald Ethel made the presentation at the Galt Museum. The Diamond Jubilee Medal is a way to recognize those who've made a lasting contribution to the quality of life here in Alberta and in Canada. Dory was in great company today. Among the other recipients were former Lethbridge Mayor David Carpenter and entertainment promoter Ron Sakamoto. The medal was created to mark the Queen's 60th anniversary. Congratulations, everyone. Time now for a look at the day's markets.